Well, hello guys, this is your girl Diva Fashionista, and this is going to be my review of the new movie that just released on Netflix entitled Roxanne Roxanne. It actually came out in Sundance a year ago in about January of 2017, and now it has its Netflix release in March 23rd. 2018. It's just released this Friday, so if you haven't gotten a chance to watch the movie, I actually suggest you stop. There will be some spoilers in this review, not too many. I don't want to tell their story because they did such a good job with it, but I really just want to give you my thoughts and opinion of the movie and encourage you to see the movie if you haven't already. So again, if you haven't already, stop this video, add it to your watch later, and then go watch the movie and come back so then we can have an open dialogue. I love having open dialogues here on my channel about, current events or just, engaging with the audience. So anywho, I really want to take the time to try to give this woman, this incredible woman with an incredible story, just give her her propers, because I feel like having watched the movie, that's what I took away from it. Like, I knew of Roxanne Shante. Thanks to many people in hip-hop, they kept her story alive. I am just a lover of hip-hop. I love hip-hop. It's in my bio. I say it. Like, I love hip-hop. I grew up on it. I have to say, and I hope it doesn't sound too crazy, I wasn't around during the Roxanne Shante days. I wasn't here quite yet. Sorry. But I watched the movie with my hubby. I was like, listen, do not watch it until I get home from work. We're gonna watch it together. And I'm grateful that he was around. He is a little older than I am, so I was able to ask him questions or fill in things that I wasn't aware of. I do think I feel like I was well versed because I've kept up. I've gone back and I just studied hip-hop. Like, I love it, so I studied it. From what I understood of the story, the way the story was told, the way my understanding of the story was that she was a part of this rap crew, and this other rap crew put out a song. They were named UTFO. I never knew their name. That's something I learned in this movie. UTFO had a song called Roxanne Roxanne. They had the song and it was a hit, and it was talking about this girl, and you got the feeling from the song that the girl was like a snob. She's really pretty, they're trying to get with her, and she just was blowing them off. And so Roxanne Shante had the response record, which was just like letting them know why they couldn't get with her and what her standards were. So I remember it being a really big thing. She got really popular because, it just was a hit, and it was this female with all this sass just telling these guys how it is. And it was major for hip hop because it sparked all these response. Everybody had a response. Everybody started doing response records, and everyone was claiming to be, this one claimed to be the real Roxanne. You're not Roxanne Shante, and it was just a big moment in hip hop. So I was aware of her story from there, but the movie digs way deeper. The movie goes into just how she grew up. It was more of a coming of age story, just how Chante can come up in Queensbridge Projects, which we know who else came from Queensbridge Projects, and we actually do get to see that their paths crossed in this movie. So that was really interesting. Chante grew up like many of us have. I am Projects born and raised, so I have to say that the filmmakers got it right. It was very authentic. Chante was the executive producer. One thing I did learn about her is that her real name was Lolita. I had no idea about that. Just assumed that was her name. But I do remember that coming up in the beef, like that her name wasn't really Roxanne. Like, I do remember that, but I just never knew her name was Lolita. And she goes by her middle name, Chante, which is at her actual name. Roxanne got added as her rap moniker. What I did not know, something else I didn't go into this movie knowing, that it was that she didn't pursue rap. Rap wasn't her career. She was a battle rapper. She would battle people out in the park. Then it's so crazy because that's one thing you hear about hip hop. Like, it started out in the park. Yeah, she'd be out battling people wherever. Like, that's authentic to the project experience as well. you would hear so and so, like it was word of mouth. You would hear about so and so, what they were popular for, or what they did, or whatever the case may be, and word got around like, hey, I heard this one is popping, I heard this one's a rapper, I want to battle them. And then you met up and you did it. And it worked that way for fights too. And I remember, like, you let so and so know, meet you on the basketball court, it was gonna be popping. If that was so authentic to like the project experience. And can say it was filmed in Queensbridge. I have been to Queensbridge once before, and I remember those double set of green stairs. I remember that. So they actually kept it as authentic as possible. My man commented about the style of clothing. They didn't go too crazy in trying to make it look exactly like the 80s and you had to have this name brand on and da-da-da-da. But they kept the silhouettes. They kept like the gold chains, the rope chain. They kept the Kango. Like that type of stuff was authentic to it. It looked like this could very well be taking place in the 80s, which it was not. It was filmed in present day. But they did a very, very good job. Trying to look at my notes just to make sure I'm getting everything that I want to say. Let's talk about the cast. It was an almost unrecognizable Nia Long. And whenever I say Nia Long, I have to say, like, it takes me back to Tracy Ellis Ross when she's like, Nia Long. Like, I always say it like that. So the whole movie, I just kept going, Nia Long. Nia Long did an amazing job. My man commented that he felt like she was trying to get her Oscar. She deserved it. She was almost unrecognizable. Wasn't the glams up sex pot we're used to. I've seen, I didn't have a mother like that, but I've seen plenty of mothers like Nia Long with some type of substance abuse. She appeared to be an alcoholic in the movie. They don't actually say that, but she drank a lot, and she made questionable decisions. Her parenting was questionable. And it's funny because I watched the Breakfast Club interview where Chante was talking about it, and I think Charlamagne asked her a question about their relationship, and Chante totally just didn't acknowledge that her mother may have been verbally abusive or not the best parent. She's totally gave her props, and she just like, you know, I think Chante's at the point now where you see your mom and you see your mom as a woman. You don't see her as this superhero, as this protector. You realize that, you know, she's a woman and she may have been dealing with heartbreak and disappointment and just finding out that life ain't what you thought it would be. And I think that's where she is now. But what we saw in the movie was an alcoholic who seemed uncaring at times and was more about what opportunities her daughter could afford her. She didn't keep as a watchful eye on her as she should. Who else do we have? We have, I'm going to butcher his name, Mahershala. I'm so sorry if I'm saying this wrong. Mr. Ali from Moonlight fame. He's just almost totally unrecognizable as well, because he's doing a role that's totally opposite from his Moonlight role. He's her older drug dealing boyfriend in the movie, and he then fathered a child by her. So yeah, that relationship becomes abusive. But even that brought me back to even some of my experiences where the predator, like there's predators everywhere, where the guy in the project that had no business sniffing behind you as you start coming into your own, like that took me back. And then we have Kevin Phillips was a spot on Marley Marl. He looks like him, like that. Whoever cast him as Marley Marl did a very good job, because he totally reminded me of him. The authenticity was just amazing. There was a scene where they were waiting. I believe they were waiting for the father. Chante is the oldest of 4 girls, and they're waiting for their father, I guess, to pick them up. Unless that, I just didn't understand that scene, and you guys could feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But they're waiting outside, and they're outside on the bench all day waiting. And this part where the youngest needed to use the bathroom, but they didn't want to go upstairs. She refused to go upstairs. They're like, come on, let's go upstairs. And she refused to go upstairs, and they crowd around her, and she pees outside. At the risk of TMI, you know, my homegirls that that watching our videos, y'all know about that. Do y'all remember going down the ramp? We used to do stuff like that too, like, because you were so afraid. I know for us, we were so afraid of going upstairs. Like, if you went upstairs, you might not be allowed back out. That was it. Once you came out, you came back up for the day, that was it. So we stayed outside hungry, had to use a bathroom, by all means, just to enjoy just playing around with our friends. And so, like, that kind of resonated with me, because I've definitely had a similar experience to that. So getting back to Roxanne Shante, she was famous, and I think that's why it was so easy for her to walk away from rap. She was already famous. Like, people already knew her before she even had a record out, before she even had a song on the radio. People knew Chante. Chante had the reputation of being a rapper. We get to see that, and just everybody wanted to battle her, and her reputation preceded her. She also had a reputation as a booster. She stole. You don't know what booster, that's what we call you, boost. You stole from the store. You went in professional, like, thieves. Like, you got what people wanted. And I know what hit home with me was her. She had a fascination with Sergio Valente's, and I don't know, like, when I was coming up, Sergio Valente was still out, and just the G's out. Those was everything. Those was, I had to have me some Sergios. I used to beg for them. So seeing her, like, she was boosting them, you know. She made money off of battling. She charged to battle people. Like, she got so good, she used to charge people, and then she charged people to steal stuff from the store from them. She would fill orders, and that was crazy to see. Chante had a hustler mentality. She always was hustling, whether it was boosting, whether it was rapping, whether it was drug dealing. At one point, she was selling drugs for her cousin, and that was a really deep scene. And spoiler alert, she ran away from home few times. She ran away from home at one point and was almost sexually assaulted by the cousin, and that was scary. It just shows you that no matter how tough you are, no matter what your reputation is, you're still a woman and you're still vulnerable, and that was crazy to see. One thing I was not aware of was how young she was. She started, like, really started gaining notoriety as a rapper at 14 years old. So she goes into this industry, you know, feeling like she had to provide for her sisters. She feeling like she has to provide for her mom. Her mom had a heartbreaking scene. The situation started, and that I don't want to spoil. When the situation started, I had a foreboding feeling. I knew what was going to happen, and it was just like, no, please don't. I wanted to be wrong so bad, but I wasn't. I knew what was going to happen, and it did happen. I want you guys to see that on your own. If you haven't, I don't want to spoil that, but I knew that was going to happen, and it sets the tone for what's going to happen to Chante, because the mom had no financial savvy, had no business acumen, if that's the correct word. And then so when her daughter now goes into this, you know, she started off in rap, and she's a pioneer in rap. So there really wasn't no big rap superstars anyway. It really was just in the beginning of rap. So, but once she started making money off of rap and she's doing shows, there was no contracts. Everything was just done on, like, oh, we going over here? Okay. We going over here? Okay. You know, her mom just gave her a little bit too much freedom, and it wasn't enough eyes on what was going on and where the money was going. So her manager then takes advantage of her. Didn't pay her. You know, I remember seeing pictures of her Louis down, Gucci down. So I'm wondering if that was where the money was spent, to just present this image of this fly girl. Because in the 80s, you were fly. That was it. I remember just looking up to my older cousins and the girls in the neighborhood that was so super fly, with the bamboos, with the small Louis or the small Gucci or the small Coach purse. That was just everything. You saw the rappers in the industry, and that was their look, and that's what we wanted to emulate. But not knowing that at the end of the day, she's rapping, and just like we saw in the New Edition biopic, she's going home to the projects. And it's like, Queensbridge wasn't always the safest nicest place to be. So it was really tough to see that and just experience that and know that that was her experience. And also just knowing that she also just had a child so young. She was a teenage parent, and then she was in an abusive relationship. That just broke my heart. Just to know that she was in an abusive relationship, and just feeling like, Do I stay here or do I go back to another abusive relationship? So Miss Chante was really just, she had a heartbreaking but deep story to tell. And I'm glad she's getting the opportunity to tell it. My only critique of this movie, and I hope this is not too long, my only critique of this movie would be the music. As they did a very good job. Pharrell, Roxanne, like, they all did a very good job. I know Forrest Whitaker has some type of hands in this movie as well. I'd have to look back to see what it was. I have to Google it. But they did such a good job with the movie. The only critique I have would be the music, and then it goes back to why her story is tragic but triumphant. I can only imagine that the reason why more of the music was not in the movie is because she probably has no rights to it. She probably does not own any of the music, you know, and that is really sad. We do get to hear the beginning of Roxanne's Revenge. We do get to hear the beginning of that song, which is her most popular song, when she plays it for her mother on the radio. We got to hear, you know, probably the 15 seconds that you can legally do without anybody having to say, hey, pay me. And that's the crazy part. It's just what's really sad. She never released a record. You never got a Roxanne Shante album, which I did not know that was her story. That was really sad. She's so talented, so witty. She could just freestyle and comes off the cuff just so easily. An album from her would have probably been just a classic, but we didn't get to see that because her money was just being so, like, she was being mismanaged, and she eventually got fucked. I'm sorry, like, I really have to say, her management team, the people behind it, the adults in her life, really totally just screws her over. I'm trying to keep it clean, and it's really sad. So I don't blame them for actually going out and getting recordings of her music, because they already ate off of her, and that was her way of saying that was your last meal. I hope you ate up and I hope you enjoyed. I'm really glad that she didn't go out and then go pay to let these people get another buck off of her. I'm really glad about that. What I took away from this movie is just that this was a young girl, 14-year-old teenager, that was taken advantage of. And I'm just so glad that she now has the opportunity to tell her story. And this is why, if nothing else, that is what I want to say. I'm not going to tear anybody down. I really want to say, watch this movie. If you haven't already, go ahead and watch it. Watch it a few times. I'm not really sure how Netflix work. I don't know if we could get this to trend. Let's make this trend. Share it on your social media. Let people know. If they haven't taken the time to watch this movie, go ahead and watch it. It's a really good movie. They did a really good job. But I just really want to pay homage to Roxanne Shante. I really just want to say thank you, Queen, for your contributions. I really want her to get her due. She needs her propers. So we have to do what we have to do for her, like for the culture, just for the culture, for the love of hip hop. She paved the way for female artists, some of our favorites, to come along. Always have your first, and she doesn't mind being the first. She doesn't mind being the one that maybe she got screwed over, but now we know to be a little bit more business savvy. We know how to look at our contract. We know to make sure the coin is in place before we get on stage. We know this, and it's all thanks in part to Roxanne Shante. She went through it so that others don't have to go through it. And I'm just really just excited about this movie. I need us to get this to trend. Watch it. We did it for Black Panther. Let's do it for a Black Queen. Let's all get out there and just share, watch. Let's do it. Let's make this movie #1 on Netflix. Let's do it, guys. We can do it. We can. And let's just continue to support Chante in any way that we can. And Chante, I just wanna thank you. I just wanna give you all props. And this was a really good movie. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for your contributions to rap. That's all I have to say for now, guys. I thank you so very much for tuning into this video. Please share, like, comment down below if you haven't already. Go ahead and subscribe. It's free.